everyone, welcome to Kitchen Therapy, and this is our cooking demo for all my members. Today we're going to switch it up a little bit. So instead of actually cooking, I'm going to do a prep demo for Thanksgiving and really for the holidays. I'll reiterate this as we get closer to Christmas as well, but right now we're talking about Thanksgiving. It's fall. We've had the most amazing fall that I can ever remember in my life with fall colors. It's just been great. I've been outside a lot hiking and walking and making some of those commitments as it gets colder, because sometimes we want to snuggle up, but I've gotten my warm stuff out to walk, so I encourage you all to do the same thing. So this is, I'm going to actually do a little vision board with this, just like I do my Kitchen Therapy notebook. I always suggest everybody have a go-to meal, but this is a holiday meals, and so specifically to Thanksgiving, so it's like all that you're thinking about and needing and getting excited to do. It really depends on if you're going to host or if you're going somewhere, and right now it's really strange. So I just want to invite everybody that, I've been talking about this, I want to invite everybody to really think about their mindset and just to lighten up a little bit, and that's why I'm calling this kind of lighten up through Thanksgiving. Kind of lighten up challenge for all of you, and that's one of the things that I really think is important. But we're going to talk about prep, so physical things that we can do, but we're also going to talk about emotional things that we can do. And one of the things that I want to just point out is that we want to lighten up Thanksgiving challenge. And so as we are going forward, the universe has kind of told us that we need to slow down, and we may not like all of it right now, but we're needing to slow down. Sleep is always a big deal, and that's why I try to get out and walk in the morning and the evening, still trying, if the sun's shining, trying to get out and really see the sunset, also see the sunrise, trying to do that and being mindful. So whether we're just going to have our immediate family, we maybe don't get to travel, we can change our mindset and look at this as a way to celebrate who we are with. And if we're not, can we get on the phone? Can we get on Zoom? And so it is really hard. Our hearts go out. We grieve for those that are lonely or sick right now. And Thanksgiving and holidays bring that up to us anyway. And we're humans. We want to connect. And so it's really hard during this time of the year that we may not be able to connect with all the people that we want to connect with or how we have connected before. But I really want to invite everybody to just think about a new way that you want to do something. Something that my family and I are going to do is do a giving tree in our dining room, which is right behind me, just a small one, using a plant or a small tree that we already have. And we're going to string some cranberries, and we're going to do a little burlap, and then I'm going to get some recyclable cards and write down, each of us, 2 things that we're really grateful for, 2 things that we want to give, and 2 things that we want to receive. Because as I've shared in the past, I think it's as important to receive as to give, because you allow the other person to give to you. And so really speaking that out loud. And then we're probably going to try a new game. So if anybody has any suggestions, let me know. But slowing down, really being mindful, and just enjoying this time, like enjoying the outdoors during this time, enjoying prepping and getting ready for a meal with your family. And I just use it as a time to be in the kitchen with my girls and my husband and my family, and eat healthy. So even though we have traditions, this is really an opportune time that we take to really think about our health and think about, maybe we're going to keep a couple of things, and I'm not saying be 100% perfect. It is okay to splurge every once in a while, but it is okay to maybe think about the traditional foods that we've always had, to maybe switching it up and trying something new and trying something healthy, or just switching up that thing that we're talking about as far as making it a little more healthy. So taking a sweet potato casserole, and instead of making the whole casserole and adding a lot of sugar, because sweet potatoes naturally have a lot of sugar in them, we can switch that up and we don't have to do it quite the same. So I think that those are all great. And one of the things that I'm going to do for an appetizer that I'm going to make ahead is a pumpkin chai soup. I'm super excited. You actually use a chai tea, and everything that I'm going to tell you, I'll have when I'm making some of this stuff. I'm going to videotape it, but I'm going to give you guys recipes that are linked to this video. So you'll have recipes to anything that you want to try too. And then just keep it simple. Like, we don't have to be super complicated about it. And if you think ahead and you use your time, you think about a recipe, it's like prepare and how much time does it take. So we really have to think about it ahead of time, which I think is really an important piece. But I'm gonna send the long version of this Lighten Up just to remind all of you how you can stay balanced through the holiday season in general. I think that's a really important thing. And then this timeline prep that I do for myself, which is the best part of my job, I actually get to do all of this for myself and then share it with other people and learn from all of you guys too. So you're gonna get this Thanksgiving prep timeline. Let me scoot this stuff in a little bit more. Which is going to just go through some of these things that I'm going to talk about right now, which I think is really, really an important piece. So what do you think about when you think about Thanksgiving prep? Well, it depends on if you are hosting or not hosting. So the turkey, have you ordered your turkey? So I kind of do pre-prep, and there is my doggie, and that's the lovely part about this time doing things. But we have the turkey, and I order mine from Mama Jean's, from a local farmer. It's fresh. I pick it up 2 days before Thanksgiving. They come and meet out in the parking lot. It's great. All you have to do is put a $5 deposit down if you live in Springfield. I also you can also order from U.S. Wellness, which is organic turkeys in Missouri. And I think Aldi's has some organic turkey as well. So getting that turkey, it may be frozen. I like to have clean meat, so I like to have an organic turkey. I like to try to get it local if I can. But if it's frozen, number one thing you have to make sure, as we'll talk about in a minute, make sure you thaw it out. There's probably a few stories about that. I am betting. But making sure, I kind of just double check and make sure that I have my essentials. And one of the things that I use instead of foil when I roast a chicken is, and I'm going to turn this over, and I've lost it, so I had to order another one, and it's not here yet. But I ordered this, which is a chain mail baking cover, and it's awesome. Like, it keeps all the moisture in. It's perfect, and I've used it, and it's been great. And you can use it for a lifetime. You just wash it afterwards. So it's sustainable, and in the long run saves you money. So I think that's a great thing for the turkey. I like to keep I have a roasting dish, and I'll switch it up, but I like to brine my turkey in a big cooler, and I put it in the garage because it's usually cool enough, with some cold water, ice water. But I make my brine myself without sugar, and so I'll put my recipe in there. It's super easy. It just uses citrus, oranges, and really great herbs and salt, of course, so as your brine. But it's a really simple. And you can just do that 24 hours to 48 hours ahead of time. That's going to help keep it really moist. And then I'll put some tips on how I roast my turkey. And I really never have had a mess up on my turkey. I've had a mess up on a lot of things, but not my turkey. So another thing that I want to talk about is, what can you do can you do fresh green beans instead of a green bean casserole? Maybe your family can't, but I think that's a really great choice. And I always like to make sure I have a vegetarian in my family, and so I like to make sure I have, for everybody anyway, I like to make sure I have plenty of greens. I like to definitely have a Brussels sprouts recipe that I'll put in my thing, and then I'll also put in I do mashed potatoes. My family loves mashed potatoes, but I do them the day before. I just don't add any ghee or butter to it, and I put it in a crock pot, and I get it out the day of, and I plug it in and add the butter or ghee, and heat it up, and then I don't have to. So I can do the peeling 2 days before, and then I can do the cooking like the day before. and then put it in, and then I don't have to worry about it. I get my turkey all ready, and then I just put it in the oven the day of, which is really, really nice. So you can think about, but I'll also do another potato dish that is a little bit healthier of a choice. So sweet potatoes is a great choice. You can do mashed sweet potatoes. You can do the recipe that I have, or the coconut sweet potato bites, which are really yummy, which are really healthy and good. And then you can also do I have a really good recipe for a cauliflower mashed potato. That would be another thing. The other thing that I try to switch up is cranberry sauce. So I do make my cranberry sauce. So I make it with citrus and less sugar. So I'll have that recipe on there, and I make that the day before, so I don't have to worry about that. And then, turkey is just making sure that it's thawed out and making sure that it reaches that 180 degrees, like right in the thickest part of the thigh. That's the biggest part. And there's lots of tricks and lots of information that you can get on how to do that. So the bone broth, I do, like tonight, I'm going to do some vegetable bone broth, and you can see that I have chicken bone broth, or chicken broth and vegetable broth over there, but I'll make my own. And actually out in my garage, I've already cooked a chicken. I have the bones and the juice from the chicken. I made it in my pressure cooker. It takes 30 minutes to make a whole chicken in your pressure cooker, depending on the weight. And then I take the meat off the bones, I crush the bones to get the marrow out, and I've done a little bit of video on that. And then I put everything back in with the vegetables, some kombu or sea vegetables, herbs, close it, cook it for 2 hours. I add to my chicken bone broth chicken feet, which I just got some more of that on hand. So that will make it really gelatinous, but I'll do that way ahead of time, and I'll have it in the freezer so I don't have to worry about it. And then grocery shopping, I'm going to get all my things that do not need to go in the refrigerator, that don't need to be fresh. I can get that ahead of time. So I just make lists now, and then I'm not really stressed out. So like 5 days before, I'm not a big baker, but my daughter is. So in my prep, I talk about when my kids are going to help me, depending on the school, because that's my favorite part, is have my family together cooking with me. But we have Nana's rolls that somebody will make, maybe my daughter will make, and if we want pie, usually my mom brings that, so I don't have to worry. Last minute groceries, again fine. I'm making my chai pumpkin soup. I'll make that a few days before and just freeze it. You can also make the gravy before and freeze it as well. And I'm going to put a mushroom recipe that I think you're going to love on that. So 2 days before, you can blanch some green vegetables like your Brussels sprouts or anything else that you want that will keep asparagus. I do a Brussels sprout dish that I want to do, and then asparagus I'll do for an appetizer with prosciutto wrapped around it, which is really good. And then I told you the cranberry sauce you can make a couple of days ahead, and that will be less sugar and better for us. And then a day before, potatoes. I talked a little bit about the potatoes. My youngest daughter loves to set the table and decorate, so she goes to town on that. Casseroles, I more think about like salads and the greens. Are those cut up? Do I have all of my stuff ready? The butternut squash is actually, it's not a pumpkin soup chai, it's actually butternut squash chai. And so I have, if you look over here at these two things, this is what I'm going to make pie puree out of. So much better tasting than the can, but you definitely can use can. But I'm going to make a puree, and I'm going to make like a custard pumpkin dish that doesn't have any crust, or I have a really good almond flour crust that I'll share with you that's super, it's just almond flour, salt, and ghee that I'm going to try this year. I haven't tried it yet, but this is pretty easy to make, and I'll put the recipe on there as well. And remember, you can do these in this really easy, and I'll put some recipes on there for that. And cutting it is fairly easy too, making sure that you cut it. This you can always, if you're going to cube it, you're going to cut it in half like this, scoop out your seeds. Butternut squash seeds, and pumpkin seeds. I'll put a great recipe to roast them, and you can even with butternut, you can put cinnamon. You can do a little treat with it with cinnamon, and that's really good. But you just have to, you're just going to roast them. But you also can just cut this in half and put it upside down on a little bit of oil in the oven, and I'll put a recipe for that as well, because that just softens it up. So if you're going to do any kind of soup or puree, not cubed, that would be the easiest way to do it, because then you don't have to peel it and do all of that. But there's a couple of other ways that you can actually roast it for a little bit, so the peeling is a little bit easier and the cubing is a little bit easier. These are hard. These are hard sometimes to get into. And the same with, a pumpkin's not as bad, but it can be bad. And I think that deters us from using this stuff, because it feels for a lot of people that it's too much work. But it's also really nice to get, your hands in it. Of course, I have my onion, olive oil, getting more sweet potatoes. I wanted to point this out. There's pumpkin pie spice that has a lot more than just the can, and you can get this in bulk at Mama Jean's. You can make it yourself too, but I'll put what's in it, but it smells so good. And then same thing with apple pie spice that I use in a lot of my dishes. I do a really good squash apple dish that I'll put the recipe on there for that as well. That you guys are all getting a recipe book for holidays, which is great. But it's apples and cinnamon and squash, and it's super easy. And I did it last year, and it was a thumbs up for my whole family. So I'm gonna do it again because it was really yummy. It had cinnamon and vanilla, even cinnamon stick squash and apples. It was delightful. And I think cranberries. I think that was the other thing that it had. And then of course Thanksgiving. You're gonna roast your turkey. I've already mashed potatoes the day before, so that's what I've decided to do. And then I'll do a big platter for vegetables with some miso dressing in the middle of it. My salad is a fennel. My niece Hannah did this last year, I think, and I love it. It's celery, fennel, pomegranate, and it's lime. It's so yummy, and olive oil. I think that's all that's in the recipe, but I'll put it on there as well. And then we're going to do our gratitude cards and games. Carving the turkey, I leave that up to my husband, and then long walks, which is really a great, that weekend we always like to maybe to try a hike if it's nice. So those are some of my tips. When I go through here, I just look through all of my recipes that I've done in the past, and then I can kind of choose from it. I have my citrus, the sugar-free citrus turkey brine is so amazing. It's like lemons and oranges and clementines and rosemary and thyme, ghee and olive oil for the brine. So, I think that, and I'll probably do a stuffing, I'm not sure yet, but the cauliflower herb, wild rice, and quinoa stuffing. I did that in one of my classes in kitchen therapy last year. It was so good, so I'm gonna do that again. Quinoa, wild rice, apple cider vinegar, vegetable broth, fresh thyme leaves, garlic, apples, celery, onion, cranberries, pecans, parsley, and sage leaves. Doesn't that sound amazing and fall-like? So that is gonna definitely go in the, and then my miso with my vegetable platter, I'll put that recipe on there. And then my mushroom gravy is olive oil, onions, dried thyme, mushrooms, dry sherry, vegetable broth, water, and ghee. That's it. And it was also a huge hit in my class, so I think that will be, and then here's I'm going to show this. This is the chai butternut squash soup. Does that look yummy? So I am going to let you go. I'm going to do some short videos on some of the recipes, but I'm going to give you all the recipes, and I just want to wish you all the best in preparing for Thanksgiving and putting yourself in a better mindset and just lightening up. So have a great day.